got many, many alarmed emails and texts and phone calls from Democrats and from friends of mine who said, you're ruining your life because he's going to break every promise. Thank you. He's going to.
Charlie Kirk said at the event, Bobby, did you think that you would get this kind of a welcome from at a Republican event and be a rock star? And he said, no.
Lost a lot of family and friends, but I have a new family. People said to me, he's going to break every promise that he makes to you. He'll make a deal and then he'll break it. And what I found is I sat down for meeting after meeting with the president, with his family, with his closest aides, and the three issues that and one of the things we agreed we're going to create a unity party, and that, like they do in Europe and parliamentary countries where parties unify with each other to create a government, but they continue to have differences and they are allowed to criticize each other on those differences and question them. And he was very, very open to that and was very welcoming of that relationship. The three issues that switched me, that prompted me to make this switch, were ending the war, ending the censorship and surveillance regime, and making America healthy again. And he made all those commitments, but during our conversations, it was clear to me that these were not just facial commitments. He had a deep knowledge and a deep commitment to each of these. Donald Jr. and J.D. Vance and President Trump all talked about their fear about allowing the neocons back into the government, which surprised me a lot, but they all had a visceral fear that these people are going to destroy our country and destroy the planet. They were absolutely committed to restoring the health of our country for economic reasons, for moral reasons, and just because it's critical that our country to be strong. 77% of American kids are ineligible now for military service because they have chronic disease diagnoses or obesity diagnoses. And that this is weakening our country in terrible, terrible ways, economically, militarily, morally, spiritually, etc. And so they made those commitments during our talks. But he put his money, and he said, I'm going to put you on the transition team, which I didn't ask for. But it was a commitment. And by the way, he got into office that he was not prepared to govern, that he didn't really know what came next. And he was immediately surrounded by business, corporations, corporate lobbyists, and they all said, put this guy in power, put this guy in this position. There's 14,000 positions that the president has to fill when he comes into office. And he said, I did what they told me, and it was a lot of bad people. And you know how he talks about bad people. and he said, I'm not going to do that again. And because of that, this time around, the GAO pays for the transition team, the General Accounting Office. They won't give you any money until you win the election. So you can't start picking a new government until November 5th. And he said that the last time around, that put me in a bind because we didn't have time to vet people and to understand what they stood for and what they were going to do. So this time he went to private donors and he said, we're going to start the transition team 3 months earlier. And he didn't just say that, but they were aggressively approaching us and saying, we're going to have this meeting We need names for this department, this department. We want your names. We're going to appoint your people. And we've been actively involved. My daughter-in-law, Amaryllis, who runs my campaign, is going to be moving into Palm Beach. The smartest person, somebody said to me the other day, Amaryllis Fox Kennedy is the smartest woman I've ever met. And I said, no, she's not. She's the smartest person that you've ever met. And she is. And she's going to be living day to day in Florida, working on the transition team, because that's what they requested. So these were not empty promises. Not only that, but President Trump, good to his word, has been out on the campaign trail, and every speech that he gives, he talks about these issues. And they have become now his signature issues. Ending the war, reopening a friendly relationship with China and Russia as trade partners, not one that can take advantage of us, but partners because we need what my uncle called a peace race rather than an arms race. And that's going to be good for the whole world. We need to be projecting economic power abroad, like my uncle did, rather than military power, which has gotten us into all this mess. And he talks about that with an eloquence that I have never been able to muster. I'm so impressed with the speeches he's given on this subject. I urge you to look at YouTube. I take excerpts of these speeches and send them to everybody. I'm astonished by them. He talks about making America healthy again at virtually every speech that he gives. It's often the dominant theme of his speeches. And he talks about ending the censorship and surveillance state. And people said to me, you better get a contract with him, because if you don't have a contract, he's going to break his word. Well, this is the biggest contract I could ever get, that he is publicly committing to all of you to these issues. And, you know, one of the things that we know, which was very disheartening to me when he got to the White House last time, is that he keeps his word on all these things that he promises publicly. He's not scared to challenge orthodoxies, to defy institutions, to break the institutions that are in his way. And that's what we need, a president who can do that, a president who's not just going along for the ride. And so I'm very satisfied with all the things he's done. I consider that him keeping his word, that he's gone out publicly and endorsed all these issues in front of the world.